right, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to the show. You know, we spent a little bit of time on the immigration story, which is really big here in San Diego. But I got to tell you, it's a negative story. It's a cynical story. So we're going to move away from it, and I want to stay positive. And I really want to focus on some things that you can do to be empowered and to, as we always try and engage you, to influence you to win in any marketplace, as we always say. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about real estate financial planning through CraigSowing.com. We got an awesome local panel here joining me. Seth O'Byrne. You hear him on the show all the time. He's an author, top producer. I call him the quadruplet of real estate. He's going to be on the American Dream this Saturday at 10 a.m. Welcome back to the show, Seth. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Do you think people know what I mean when I call you the quadruplet of real estate?
Could you? I feel like a monster.
I think you probably understand by now, but I got to explain to the audience. I see this guy everywhere. He's out there moving, shaking, helping people buy, sell, from downtown all the way up to Solana Beach. You're flying in helicopters now on Channel 6?
Channel 6, yep.
We got you on Channel 4 on Saturdays at 10 a.m. So the guy is all over the place. He truly is a leader. I mean, you spoke at the SDAR event, like 6 months ago or so?
Yeah, actually 3 months ago. It was pretty recent, actually.
Yeah, so very recently. So a pro's pro. Professionals go to him for advice. So if you're a homeowner or you're looking to get into the real estate market, this is the guy that you want to tune into for information. His website is sethsold.com. So I want to get your opinion on what's happening with the foreclosure numbers, things like that I mentioned earlier in the show. Also joining us, we have Brian Loschenko, who is going to help us understand DSTs a bit better, which ties right into real estate. Brian, welcome to the show, first-time offender.
Thank you.
So, Seth, I got a comment first before we get into the serious stuff here. You got a heck of a tan, a better one than last time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm glowing.
I
wonder if listeners can feel my glow in the radios.
I'm doing the same thing here, man. It's 4th of July weekend, which basically started on Thursday, July 3rd.
Of course.
Right? So, I mean, you're talking a 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
So, big surfer, local guy, always out and about enjoying the social scene. So how was surfing here? You didn't get bit by a shark. You hear about that guy?
I did, yeah. I heard about that in Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary. But that was a weird story, though. You got to know that there was someone that was fishing, actually had that shark caught and was reeling the shark in while someone was swimming. And, I know Brian lives up in North County as well. I don't know what it is.
So you're a little bit closer to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not at Manhattan Beach, but I'll definitely tell you right now, I'm not going to be swimming near a pier any longer.
Yeah. So the guy was on a pier?
Yeah, in Manhattan Beach.
So the guy was on a pier. Did he even know that he had caught a shark? I mean,
the video, you hear him laughing about it. It's a very disturbing video.
I did see that video. That was the actual fisherman laughing that he caught a shark?
Laughing that he caught a shark and said, oh, that guy did not get bit. And then you hear the background, yes, he did get bit. And then he changed his tone.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. And, it's funny because I don't know if you guys have ever been out there on a surfboard in the water, but for some reason I have this false sense of confidence when I have a board between me and the water. But I'll tell you one thing, if I'm just swimming in the ocean, I feel like I look pretty tasty. So I try to not swim
You
in
do
the ocean.
look tasty. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
You know what? I know what you mean, though. Anytime and I haven't surfed that much, but anytime I try and I fall off the board, there is that element of unknown when you can't see your feet.
Of course.
It's sketchy. Last time I went out to surf, Seth, it was like, 3 or 4 months ago.
Sure.
You're out there all the time doing this stuff.
Yeah.
I went out there about 3 or 4 months ago, and it takes me so long to, find a wave and catch it, that I'm sitting on this board for probably, 45 minutes. Finally, I time this wave perfectly. You got to explain this. I don't know what I'm doing. You start swimming, right, to try and go the speed of the wave?
Yep.
I'm feeling it. I'm on it. I'm about to just jump up on this board. I went to jump, and I swear I've been laying there too long that I felt like I threw my back out, and I jumped right off my board. And I was like, I'm done. That's it. It's a rough sport, though.
Yeah, it's like golf. It really is. It's one of those things where you can feel good about yourself and awful about yourself all in one day.
Extremely humbling.
Yeah, I was curious where you were going on the relation to golf, but I get it. But it was a great holiday weekend. A lot of people get involved in real estate over the weekend, or do they kind of take off and resume now and get back into it?
We put almost half our inventory under contract between last Monday and this Monday. So yes, very active real estate market.
Wow, so that is bizarre. Now, when you say inventory, I want people to understand you guys control an absurd amount of listings in comparison to other realtors. And you guys actually post all this stuff on your website, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we give viewers and listeners first opportunities on our new listings as well. So we always encourage people to go to sethsold.com to check it out because we post photos of our listing before we're able to actually get them on the market. We're going to put everything on the MLS anyways, but yeah, absolutely. It's all there.
And I'll tell you, Seth is one of the best websites as far as video production and just information about all of the micro markets and reports he gives you. SethSold.com. It's just a great resource for you. I would bookmark that right on your smartphone in case you ever need to access it for anything. But that's an interesting point you just made there. We can talk a lot about national numbers. I'm going to get into some foreclosure numbers here in a moment.
Sure.
But as far as somebody who is a leader in the San Diego real estate market, you just made the point that you put half of your inventory, so homes that are for sale, into contract between last Monday and this Monday. Explain that. Why? What's the why behind that?
It's really interesting because we go into as a real estate agent, we always go into holiday weekends wondering whether or not people are going to be asleep at the wheel, interested in real estate, or whether or not they're going to be hanging out at the beach with their kids. I thought it was going to be a sleepy week. Fortunately, it was not. In fact, we had a lot of great new listings that came on the market last week, people who were waiting for the hot July market. And, of course, last week was the first week of July. And so we had all those homes prepped and ready to go. And either we did something right or we priced them well, or just people were using the holiday weekend as time to get really serious about buying a house. And again, it's important to note, a lot of school districts now start in the middle of August, which means that sort of September school date start actually begins a couple of weeks earlier than most people are kind of thinking.
Is the frenzy a little bit lessened now as far as you put your home on the market, bunch of offers coming through? I notice in my neighborhood that I'm seeing some signs sit up there a little bit longer. Now, is that the market? Is someone pricing it improperly? What do you think there?
Yeah, I think if you're pricing your property in comparison to how it sold a couple months ago, you may be overpricing it.
Probably, okay.
But we're coaching our clients. We're saying, look, you can still get multiple offers, but it's like a slingshot approach. You got to come a little bit lower to create enough interest to create multiple bids and to start a bidding war.
Value range pricing?
Yeah, we're doing it. And
hold the thought, because when we come back, I want to talk about value range pricing, get your opinion on that, how to price in this market. Also, Brian Loschenko, I want you to help us understand, a lot of people right now are growing equity in their home. Some markets 15, 20% in San Diego. What do you do with that equity? There's opportunities to reinvest it into bigger and better investment properties, or there's what are called DSTs. Really, really interesting if you own investment properties. You're not going to miss this. Stay tuned. We'll be back here in just a moment.
Sewing.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Really trying to drive home a San Diego-based message here today. There's a lot of national news stories, and you can get those opinions on other shows. I really wanted to really focus on empowering you with great information today. We have Seth O'Byrne, who is our real estate elite from the American Dream television show. It's going to be there, 10 a.m. this Saturday, talking about the downtown marketplace.
Yep.
So excited to have you on there. Also joining us, Brian Loschenko, who can help us understand what to do. There's been a lot of equity growth, how you can reposition equity, in some cases avoid being taxed, and grow your wealth, which everybody's looking to do. So, Seth, we were just talking about the housing market, some of the things happening there, and going into the break, we talked about value range pricing. Now, I'm going to generalize here, and I'm probably going to get some of this wrong, but let's just say 6 months ago, you put your home on the market, a lot of offers came through, became very easy to sell your home, right?
Yes.
Frenzy of investors, frenzy of buyers. No one could get their offers accepted because there's so much demand, very little supply. Now it's like the demand is lessened because investors exited. So there's a little bit more of a normalcy, for lack of better words, to the market. And as we were talking, it's important to price your home properly. Now, I guess you would say that in any market, but especially in this market where things have slowed down a bit. You mentioned a slingshot. Explain what you meant with that and relate it to what value range pricing is.
Sure, yeah. Well, you probably already know value range marketing really was started by the guy who runs my company, and that is Steve Games. He started it with Prudential decades ago. It was very big within Prudential. Then when Prudential sold to Berkshire Hathaway, he then started Sotheby's and brought value range marketing over Sotheby's. So Berkshire Hathaway and Sotheby's really are the two companies, because of a man named Steve Games, that are really using it. And
one of the biggest names in real estate nationally, and certainly here in San Diego.
Yeah, arguably, for sure.
Yep.
I mean, he's up there with Barbara Corcoran. I mean, he's definitely high up there. And value range marketing works for several different reasons. People use it for right reasons and wrong reasons. But if you're using it correctly, typically you're going to set a large value range. And what a large value range does is it gets your foot in the door. It gets buyers interested. And I have a tremendous number of stories that I could tell you where I just have one right now, a very small property, 1 bedroom in North Park. We were sitting at $219.
Love North Park. Great area.
Great area.
Yeah.
Great investment. You could walk to the park from this little 1 bedroom for $219. It's nothing. We thought it'd sell in a day. We didn't get the activity. We thought our sellers were very motivated. We dropped it $199 to $219. We did nothing with the top end of the price.
Yep.
We got 4 offers in 1 hour.
Where did the offers come in at?
They all came in at $219.
That's what I was going to say. So, I mean, look, it's marketing. That's one of your most important jobs as a real estate expert and why people rely on you. Look, if you want to know about your actual value of your property, Seth does have a free resource at his website that can help you understand what the value of your property is. If you go to sethsold.com, whether you're selling or not, it's good to know what that value is. I spent $1,200 on appraisals on properties I own in Missouri. He can do this stuff for you for free. Great website to bookmark, sethsold.com. So over the last year, 2 years, we've seen a lot of equity growth, right? That's a good thing, certainly after what we saw with the crash. So a lot of people went from being underwater to having equity. A lot of people went from having equity to have a lot of equity. But then you got to look at the investor, the people that all of a sudden who had bought real estate as an investment now have this equity, and now you want to make decisions on what to do with it. But what people don't realize is that there's an opportunity to get, well, not an opportunity, but you could get tax, capital gains tax on this. So you've heard of the 1031 exchange to when you sell a property, exchange the equity, avoid capital gains tax. Brian, can you, before we get into the DSTs, explain what a 1031 exchange is, the purpose behind it, and then we'll get into the specific advice?
Well, the object of a 1031 exchange is obviously to defer all of your capital gains tax. Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code provides an effective strategy for deferring the capital gains tax that may arise from your business or investment property sale. So the object is to defer your taxes.
So 1031 is a line in the tax code. So it's literally being named after something within the 10,000s of pages in the tax code.
Amount of pages, yes, and it's Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code. So
a lot of people have probably heard of this by now. 1031. I'm glad we clarified it. But I think people believe that, okay, to do this, now we have to go buy a like kind of property. In fact, that's the way it's defined, correct, I think, in the tax code. However, there's other opportunities there. So what can you do? Like kind is a very gray area in it. It's a very diverse term. You're not only able to exchange into a residential property, but you actually have the opportunity to obtain ownership in shopping centers, retail centers, multifamily residential, and or triple net lease properties that are all in strong, good locations. So not only do you get a well-diversified real estate portfolio, but you're diversified geographically as well. So you can move the equity not necessarily into, let's say you own a duplex, well, let's go move up into a fourplex. This can give you the opportunity to put into something that doesn't require the management. I know, Seth, that you actually have a listing at sethsold.com that you're doing this exact transaction. Tell that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Brian and I have known each other for a long time, have a tremendous amount of respect for Brian. And we were sitting there talking, and it's funny because there's so many real world examples right in front of your face. And in fact, I get a call on a Tuesday from a client who lives up in San Clemente. He started a company up there about 5 years ago. And he said, I bought a property from the builder in 1999 in Carmel Valley for $500,000. Lo and behold, it's worth $1.5 million today.
Yeah, so that's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a very good problem to have. And Carmel Valley is obviously, as you know, a very strong market. So that kind of stuff is not happening in every market. But, he moves up to San Clemente and he said, I'm getting ready to sell my business, shut down, and drink a Mai Tai somewhere. I don't want to have keys jingling in my pocket. I don't want to hear about broken toilets anymore. I don't want to be a landlord, but I've got $1 million of taxable, income off of this property when we sell it. What am I going to do? And it makes a lot of sense because he doesn't want to buy more apartment buildings. He doesn't want to be an active owner in some sort of opportunity. And that's when ding ding ding, Brian Loschenko came to mind because these Delaware statutory trusts, these DSTs, give you an opportunity to not get taxed and put it into something that you get these unbelievable returns, but you don't have to be an active landlord.
So there's two issues this guy is addressing. He wants to sell his house. He picks one of the best listing agents in San Diego, Seth O'Byrne.
Oh boy.
Right. So he's got that part right. So he wants to get as much equity out of it as he can. And then that's something you do as a great marketer. You help him get as much as he can. So $1 million, $1.1 million, whatever it is. Now, of that equity that he's going to sell, the issue number one is he doesn't want it to get taxed. So that's where the 1031 exchange comes in. That's a tax code where you can reposition it into a different type of investment. The second issue that he wants to address is he doesn't want to continue to be a property manager. So this is where Brian can step in and say, okay, well, we're not going to go have Seth find you another investment property. Instead, Seth's job, and can correct me if I'm wrong, is done. He's got you the biggest bang for your buck on the listing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reposition this into an investment strategy that can create an income of some sort that takes you out of the property management business. Is that a fair way of putting it?
100% correct.
All right. So now we don't have to speak specifically to this story of Seth's client, but clients like this, what kind of advice are you typically giving?
Well, this is an ideal client just based on his accreditation. In order to do a DST, a Delaware Statutory Trust, he does have to be qualified as an accredited investor, which is either $1 million net worth or income of $250,000 for the last 2 years, with this year having the ability to earn that as well. The idea behind a Delaware Statutory Trust is it's a separate legal entity created as a trust under the Delaware statutory laws. What it does do is it gives you the opportunity to relieve the burden of being an active real estate owner. So you're relieved of the tenants, the toilets, and the taxes. So you're an extremely passive owner of real estate. And we do call that more real estate, multiple owner real estate, where you're in with other partners. However, you do not have any voting rights. It is managed by the DST itself.
What would you consider either pitfalls or myths or anything around these? Because, I mean, it sounds great, but is there anything people need to look out for?
Well, the past history, it was compared to what were originally called tenant in commons. Mm-hmm. And a tenant in common, you're allowed to have up to 35 investors. But all 35 investors have to unanimously vote in order to sell the property, refinance the property, redo the leases.
I mean, that would be tough.
It's almost impossible to get 5 of your best friends to agree on doing something with a piece of real estate.
Right, so 35 people.
Or where to go for dinner for that matter.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
Insane.
And these 35 investors you may have never met before or ever spoken to before.
Okay, so to the DST, how does it
The
solve
DST
that?
is you don't have those voting rights. You don't have 35 different loans on the actual property. You are actually owned by the DST. So the DST itself governs the property, decides when it's going to be sold, what type of leases are going to be renewed. It's ideal for somebody that wants to be extremely, extremely passive. The benefit of it is that you could diversify the type of real estate you buy. You can go from a residential property to a strip mall, to a shopping center. You could do it into a multifamily residential property or a single tenant triple net lease property, such as a CVS or a Walgreens or an AutoZone, stuff that you see on the corner of Main and Main in every town that you know have been there for 10 years and have a lease for 20 or 30 years. So you have a very strong opportunity to go into something that is extremely passive, but still generate income on a quarterly basis like you do on your rental property.
Yeah, it's important. I think there's really the 3 steps here is one, identify how much equity you've grown in your property and the fact that you want to sell it. You don't want to hold on to this property anymore, and you want to make sure that you move the equity that you've grown in a way that's going to be tax-free. So
Correct.
You make the decision that it's time to sell the house. Someone like Seth can help you do that, get top dollar for it. 2, you want to 1031 exchange it because you still want the asset to have the ability to work for you, keep your money working for you. So you're going to 1031 exchange it, but you're getting older, as this example Seth gave. You want to just kind of hang out, drink Mai Tais, and get the income, not necessarily have to go fix toilets or pay someone to go fix toilets. So you put it into an investment that can create an income for you. And Brian, you can help people identify some good places to put that?
Extremely large amount of properties are available. There's always inventory available. The benefit right now is just like we spoke about before, the baby boomers that missed the opportunity to sell their property back in 05, 06,
Now it's
07,
back.
08. Now it's back to where it was, but they're 8 years older.
Awesome. So if you own an investment property, no matter what kind it is, and you want to learn more about this and just see what your options are, in the very least, if you just want to learn, have you grown $1 million over the last 10 years like this client that Seth had? It's good to know what the value of your home is, what the options are, and if you are going to do something, to make sure that you don't make a mistake and all of a sudden put it into a different type of investment. All of a sudden you get a big tax bill at the end of the year because you didn't time it right, you didn't get the right advice. So Seth formulated a great team with Brian Loschenko. Go Go to SethSold.com. Seth, you're going to be on The American Dream this Saturday, 10 a.m., Channel 4. Look forward to having you. Brian, thanks for coming on the show here.
Thank you.
Great information about DSTs and what to do if you own investment properties. Again, visit SethSold.com. All right, coming up, we're going to bring in David Reyes, author, financial analyst, talk about how this is a divergent market, get his opinion on the marketplace. Back here on the Craig Sowing Show in just a moment.
Sowing.